Hello, it's now nearly 11 o'clock, I think, on Wednesday, the 11th of September, and I've already stopped work for the day. When I say work, it's activity, not work in the more accepted sense. But all the surplus earth has been cleared out of that water tank that features on the video today. I'm ahead of schedule with it. It could even be operational before the end of the month. So I carried on doing a bit of bramble clearing, and I thought, I'm getting hungry, time to stop. Have some breakfast. But I thought I'd share a perspective on something. This was sort of sparked, my ears pricked up when I heard the guest on Archaics, Dr. Danny, and saying from the earthly perspective, the sun appears to be going towards the galactic center. That, everything just clicked into place from that. So think about the song Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden. How do you hear that? What about black hole? Sun, won't you come? So it's identifying the direction that the sun would be being drawn to. Let's put this into a more sort of ready everyday context, as it were. What happens when you bring two magnets closer together? One of two things will happen. They'll either repel and push apart again, or they will rapidly come together. Likewise, if you have a vortex in water, a leaf or something that's floating on the surface, as it gets closer, will suddenly speed up because the pull is stronger, or rather, in the case of the magnet, there's less. Can't think of the word, but there's less resistance. In fact, there's no resistance, so it will suddenly go. So what I feel is happening here, if the sun is moving towards the galactic center, it is going through something which I look at the micro if I can't always see the thing in the macro, or vice versa. We're in a realm where you can compare. So if the sun is getting towards this galactic center, would it not be not unlike somebody in a canoe who gets a little bit too close to the waterfall, and no matter how much they paddle, the strength of that water is getting to the point where they just pull that canoe over the edge, as it were. Maybe that's what will happen with the sun. Maybe things will speed up. But if you think about it, the pineal gland would be like a black rock when it is calcified. So the Kundalini rising, the energy, it goes from the place of the sun, where it starts. It falls first to get to the root, and then rises up the spine to pineal, passing the heart. So you could say the sun is passing the earth. Doesn't matter whether you're using heliocentric or geocentric, but this is sort of beyond that. So I'm curious now as to maybe, just maybe, that this is what happens in 2178. Maybe the sun gets that close enough that it is drawn in all of a sudden more rapidly. Maybe it takes all of this reality with it through that hole, stepping into the unknown. I'm seeing the galactic center as being like a black hole. But the point of this also is what I spoke to spoke about before, about things being on the rebound, working the same way as the eyes work with the optic nerve, where the light goes in through the pupil, hits the back wall, and bounces back, and it is a snapshots that you record with your eyes. So, is this a sort of cosmic or an astral Kundalini rising that is unfolding, that may suddenly speed up? Because you also have this shortening of days. Things will be speeding up. Things at times do seem to speed up. Considering that I don't have, shall we say, a 9 to 5 job, it's like, where does the day go? Because it just whizzes past sometimes. And I'm not actually sort of really doing anything, but it still goes past really fast. But there are other times when it gets hot in the afternoon, and it seems to drag because I want to get back out there, but it's still too warm. So I hope this has given you a perspective on something that maybe nobody else has thought of. I really don't know. But the thing to consider, like I said, with the bounce back of, and what you're seeing is not stars or planets, you're seeing an interaction of an energy that is in contact with something else that gives the appearance of stars from a perspective of looking up at the sky at night. But if it is all coming from a central source, and it's always a case of check the sources with everything, that would imply that it is actually Earth that is going through an awakening. And I would suggest that that is reflected in what is happening in the unseen, plays out on this world stage that we call Earth, in this reality. And this is why what seems to be a growing number of people are waking up. They're going through a micro version of what would seem to be in the macro. So I'm going to leave that there. Just let me know in the comments, how does that sound to you? But it comes down to, when we hear a phrase like "Black hole sun, won't you come?" it's no different from "Our Father who art in heaven." If it's all just no pauses, it has a very different meaning than were you to say it, so it becomes more like a question and answer of "Our Father who art in heaven." Imagination, creation. That's the definition of creation, is imagination, what you create in the mind. So I would say that that is what we are experiencing, what we are feeling, what we are going through, a micro version of something going in the macro that is actually taking place right under our two souls, you could say. I would strongly recommend that you listen to these New Archaics live presentations. The guests are absolutely phenomenal. The information that they're bringing. Have you ever heard, for example, of such a thing as racial food? I'm not going to say any more about that, but I invite you to listen to last night's live stream with a channel and a guy who goes by the name of Greek. A lot of information in there to unpack, and it's definitely a video to return to and listen to over and over again, because there's some very interesting points that hadn't thought of that or hadn't seen it in that way. So I'm going to end that there. I have another video in mind which I'm going to use as an example of how something can seem to be true, but then when you go a little bit deeper, it then reveals a very different story. And this actually goes through 3 phases. It also will address a topic that is currently being covered by Static in the Attic. And I'd invite you to look at his latest few videos about the Austrian painter, and how he would seem to be a good guy. But we'll come on to that in the next video, because it's part of a far greater unfolding story. And again, there would seem to be macros and micros to everything. So even the Kundalini rising, has anybody ever considered this in the cosmic sense? The bigger picture, as it were. What is being presented in what is written in the heavens would be an expression for it. So a few things to ponder in this video, but is it not always about internalizing, observing in the external, weighing up inside, and also seeing that a lot of it is reflection, a lot of it is to show you the contrast. It seems clear that there are objects that would appear in the sky that by the time you see them, nothing could be done to avoid them if they were, say, on a collision course with Earth or whatever. So on that basis alone, it's like, well, where do these things disappear to, and how come we don't see them till they're almost on top of us? That's something that seems to have happened throughout history with comets and other things, projectiles that seem to have come from outer space, as it were. But could it be that this sun is going to pass through this galactic center and step into a new world? Is it taking a step into the unknown? Is it going through a sort of evolution in the same way that we go through a spiritual evolution with this Kundalini rising, this discovery of Christ consciousness inside each of us? Right, that's all I really wanted to say on this video. So until the next video, unconditional love to you all.